Before the deafening noise of the external world dictates your reality today, I need you to intentionally and unapologetically stop. In this sacred, fiercely protected space, draw a massive, anchoring breath directly into the core of your physical being. Inhale slowly, pulling restorative, grounding air into the quietest chambers of your root chakra. Hold it for one sovereign heartbeat, allowing this pure oxygen to gather every ounce of your anxious, ungrounded energy. Exhale, forcefully dropping the suffocating boulder of unfulfilled promises and chronic romantic instability off your weary shoulders. Unclench your jaw, releasing the heavy memory of accepting bare minimum effort just to maintain a fragile connection. You are unequivocally safe here, fiercely recognized for your radiant, inherently worthy soul. We are currently navigating a staggering, intensely grounding, wildly profound, and deeply revealing energetic intersection. The date is April 27. This is absolutely not a day for casual, passive observation. And it is certainly not a day for continuing the frantic, exhausting sprint of chasing chaotic, ungrounded romantic patterns, nor is it a day for remaining silent while your physical and emotional needs are fundamentally starved. This is a day of absolute, breathtaking, and beautifully solid emotional revolution and somatic sovereignty. On this highly specific, mathematically precise point in the cosmos, we are experiencing a massive, visceral, incredibly heavy, and entirely stabilizing shift of a profoundly fertile energetic force. Today, we welcome the magnificent, deeply powerful, and spectacular Taurus New Moon. These are not just distant lunar phases moving silently and meaninglessly in the dark, cold void of space. These are literal energetic codes, massive, physical, and psychological anchors for your human experience, being downloaded directly into your nervous system, your physical body, your deep subconscious, and your highly sensitive heart space. They are completely, irrevocably, and beautifully rewriting your internal blueprint for love, breaking down the ancient, stagnant, frantic illusions you have carried about your worth, and forcing you into a state of absolute, undeniable romantic and physical security, protected by a fiercely grounded, highly discerning, and unapologetically luxurious guard. Let us deeply, courageously, and honestly examine what is actually happening within your spirit as the brilliant, stabilizing, profoundly fertile energy of the Taurus New Moon drops its dense, magnificent seed into the rich, waiting soil of your consciousness. For a very, very long time, you have been operating in a state of absolute, chronic emotional starvation and physical unsafety because of your deep, beautifully tender heart, your profound capacity for loyalty, and the unhealed wounds of abandonment you have carried for lifetimes. You have lived in an agonizing state of trying to build a home inside of people who were completely terrified of standing still. You have taken your beautiful, luxurious, entirely worthy, and wildly, deeply loving soul, and you have constantly put it into chaotic, unpredictable, profoundly ungrounded situations, hoping that if you just waited long enough, if you just proved your absolute loyalty, someone would finally choose to build a stable, undeniable reality with you. You have gone to absolute war against your own self-respect, convincing yourself that if you asked for the deep, consistent, fiercely present, and completely unapologetic physical and emotional security you actually desired, you would be seen as too demanding, too materialistic, or too needy. You have desperately, constantly allowed people to treat your profound capacity for steadfast, unshakable devotion as an endless resource to be drained, while you treated their sporadic, unpredictable, deeply inconsistent presence as a rare, magnificent luxury. You took your primal, vital life force, your beautiful capacity for raw, engaging, endlessly rich, and deeply sensual love, and you locked it in a heavy, dark, suffocating cycle of surviving entirely on absolute potential rather than undeniable reality. You tolerated partners who gave you intense, blazing words and beautifully crafted illusions of a future, but who offered absolutely zero tangible, physical, consistent action for your authentic, deeply sensual self to actually rest upon in the present moment. You fell deeply, tragically, and exhaustingly into the devastating habit of accepting energetic and emotional breadcrumbs, convincing yourself that if you were just patient enough, resilient enough, accommodating enough, and understanding enough, they would magically realize your supreme worth and hand you the crown of unconditional commitment. You became fiercely addicted to the noble, exhausting, completely self-destructive crusade of performing the low-maintenance, endlessly forgiving partner. You convinced yourself that if you never asked for structural proof of their love, if you completely suppressed the entirely valid, deeply human need for tangible security that was burning in your chest, you could finally secure the love you so desperately craved. You confused the absolute exhaustion of this endless, unwinnable performance of surviving chaos with the feeling of profound, romantic passion. You thought that because you were constantly swallowing your anxiety, dulling your need for consistency, and keeping the suffocating peace while your nervous system was completely entirely dysregulated, it must mean you were experiencing a deep, soul-level connection. You mistook the suffocating, terrifying absence of physical presence and tangible effort for a complex, mysterious, and highly evolved relationship. You have been operating in a thick, heavy fog of somatic self-betrayal, completely disconnected from the sacred, highly intuitive vessel of your own physical body, walking carefully on a floor of sharp, unpredictable emotional quicksand, entirely convinced that your ultimate lack of tangible, grounded security would eventually be rewarded. You waited for the grand, cinematic moment where they would finally, magically see your brilliant, steadfast value, validate your unique existence, and give you the luxurious, consistent, deeply peaceful reality you never dared to demand out loud. But as the profound, transformative, wildly solidifying energy of this April 27 alignment peaks, as the new moon in Taurus strikes the magnificent, fertile, brilliantly grounded kingdom of the earth element, with the force of a cosmic anchor, the chaotic, exhausting, deeply dysregulated fog of your romantic scarcity is suddenly, permanently, and beautifully burning away forever. This alignment is sparking a massive, irreversible, lightning-fast somatic awakening directly within your physical body, your nervous system, and your root chakra. It is the sudden, striking, highly visceral, and entirely undeniable realization of the sovereign creator who finally realizes their inherent, absolute, unshakable worth is the ultimate prize, and who absolutely refuses to ever negotiate their peace, their physical security, or their need for profound, consistent effort again. You are experiencing a literal, physical shockwave of bodily and emotional clarity. The heavy, intoxicating, deeply addictive illusion of love as a chaotic, unpredictable roller coaster is shattering into a million unrecoverable pieces, returning to the dirt to be composted. You are suddenly seeing the past, the toxic dynamics, the endless swallowing of your need for safety, the dulling of your vibrant, sensual nature, and the agonizing lack of true, structured, physically present partnership with a stark, almost blinding realism. You are looking at the people who gave you sheer panic instead of solid assurance, the unbalanced connections that completely drained your financial, physical, and emotional vitality, the relationships that felt like constantly building a house on shifting sand, and for the very first time in your entire life, you do not feel the desperate, clawing urge to chase them, to anchor them, or to politely, exhaustingly wait for them to mature. You do not feel the heavy, suffocating responsibility to build a safe, predictable fantasy in your mind, because the physical reality in front of you is so painfully, insultingly empty. You are feeling the brilliant, dense, deeply protective, wildly sensual grounding of the Taurus New Moon, waking up inside your actual bones and your physical senses, entirely supported by the absolute boundary-setting, unapologetic earth of your own newly liberated spirit. You are finally, deeply, and profoundly understanding that your vital, magnificent, multifaceted, and deeply loyal love was never meant to be a chaotic, silent gamble. It was meant to be an absolute, unshakable, endlessly secure, and completely tangible investment. This is the absolute, permanent, spectacular death of the scarcity-driven chaser within your romantic blueprint. You are finally, permanently dropping the heavy, rusted mask of the anxious waiter and the emotionally starved companion. You are taking your immense, beautiful, terrifying, profound, and completely unique power back from the people who gladly, willingly kept you in a state of constant, panicked uncertainty and physical absence. You are finally realizing that true, sovereign love requires two seemingly opposite but deeply necessary actions. It requires the breathtaking ability to root yourself entirely in your absolute, undeniable, highly luxurious self-worth, and it requires the terrifying bravery to fiercely, silently, and unapologetically walk away from anything that refuses to meet you in the tangible, physical reality. And the universe is not just breaking your toxic, ungrounded patterns, it is immediately, beautifully rushing in to fortify your spirit with a tidal wave of unimaginable, fiercely protective, undeniable, and brilliantly structural truth. Because exactly as you drop the addiction to proving your loyalty to people who offer nothing in return, the skies open up and deliver the pure, undeniable, fertile anchoring of the Taurus New Moon, teaching you the profound magic of simply existing in your absolute, unshakable value and demanding consistent action, while handing you the ultimate blueprint to build your brand new, deeply peaceful, liberated empire. Listen to the sound of my voice and let these words sink into the deepest, most permanent, entirely sovereign layers of your subconscious mind and your physical body. The new moon is doing the fierce, intensely necessary, shockingly profound work of completely rewiring your nervous system and tearing down the restrictive, scarcity-based walls around your heart. It is placing a sparkling, heavy, magnificent crown of absolute self-worth on your head and refusing to let you ever look down, accept less than you deserve, or apologize for your high standards again. Meanwhile, the universe is standing guard at the door of your life, completely refusing to let you accept soft, inconsistent, flaky, or physically absent behavior anymore. For so long, you have operated in a state of physical restriction and somatic anxiety. You have survived on empty words without actions, and you have expressed your need for security as if it were a burden or a massive flaw. The transformative, fertile, highly grounding frequency of April 27 is stepping powerfully into your energetic field, placing its warm, incredibly solid, beautifully heavy hands firmly on your shoulders, looking you dead in the eye, and whispering a profound, ultimate, reality-altering truth directly into your soul. Your worth is absolute. Your need for safety is a beautiful masterpiece. Your desire for luxury and peace is your greatest asset. Your physical presence is a profound gift, and your security is completely non-negotiable. And your authentic, unwavering standard is the weapon that protects it all. True, authentic, profoundly aligned love is not supposed to be a diet of future faking and broken promises, nor is it supposed to require you to silence your intuition, ignore your physical needs, hide your desire to be cherished, or pretend you do not need consistency. It is supposed to be an absolute, luxurious, overflowing banquet of consistent physical presence, defended by radical dependability, breathtaking sensual synergy, and absolute, immovable mutual effort. You are currently undergoing a radical, highly accelerated somatic, emotional, and structural upgrade. You are being entirely recalibrated to handle the intense, brilliant frequency of true, unfiltered, unapologetic, highly reliable, and deeply grounded self-worth. You find yourself suddenly, inexplicably repulsed by the fast, chaotic, deeply unreliable, entirely dramatic, and highly inconsistent dynamics that you used to tolerate and crave. The idea of rushing into a mindless, chaotic connection, or the idea of having to perform exhausting emotional gymnastics just to get a basic, coherent, slightly consistent action from a partner, suddenly feels profoundly insulting, completely draining, and entirely unnatural to your newly awakened, highly sovereign, deeply rooted, and fiercely secure spirit. You are looking at the confusing, chaotic, half-hearted, ungrounded potential you used to accept, and you are feeling an unshakable, elevated intolerance for anything less than a partner who possesses the profound, solid discipline to match their fascinating words with absolute, undeniable, physical building while entirely respecting your need for immense peace. This is not you becoming materialistic, rigid, unlovable, or difficult. This is you becoming entirely sovereign and deeply, fundamentally safe. This is you becoming a master of your own tangible, beautifully constructed, highly luxurious reality. You are realizing that you do not want a partner who only brings the wild, destructive fire of toxic passion or the heavy, suffocating anxiety of endless potential. You want a partner who brings the brilliant, engaging, completely reliable energy of actualized commitment, and who is brave enough, mature enough, grounded enough, and present enough to handle the direct, unfiltered, spectacular, undeniable weight of your authentic value. You want a connection that feels like resting in a massive, beautifully lit, exquisitely furnished, entirely indestructible sanctuary of the earth, where the actions are stark, clear, endlessly consistent, completely secure, and totally devoid of manipulation or chaotic games. You are demanding, with the quiet, terrifying, unshakable confidence of a fully awakened, fully rooted soul, a love that is expansive, courageous, fiercely dependable, completely reliable, physically present, incredibly sensually stimulating, entirely luxurious, and absolutely free of hidden agendas or sudden abandonments. And because you are finally demanding it, because you are no longer accepting the scraps of uncertainty, chaos, and scarcity, the universe is expanding your magnetism to an entirely unprecedented, mind-blowing, deeply fertile, high-frequency level. You are calling in an absolute, brilliant equal, a sovereign, grounded, liberated builder for a sovereign, grounded, liberated builder. Someone who has fought their own brutal internal battles against inconsistency, conquered their own deep fear of commitment and physical presence, and is now standing completely whole, capable of giving you the vast, expansive safety to breathe, relax your nervous system, fully inhabit your beautiful body, and wildly unleash your magnificent capacity to love, while entirely honoring the brilliant, solid, absolute boundaries of your highly secure spirit. Someone who respects your profound depth, your endless loyalty, your need for peace, your sharp, undeniable reality, and does not try to rush you or put you in a chaotic frenzy, but instead respectfully, consistently engages every layer of your magnificent, beautifully stable being. This energy is not just about romance, it is about the absolute convergence of all forms of your personal, sovereign, financial, and physical power. As you clear the dense, heavy, suffocating addiction to chaos, scarcity, and physical anxiety from your nervous system, you are simultaneously unblocking massive, rushing rivers of absolute abundance, unstoppable grounded momentum, structural wealth, and raw, brilliant manifestation that were waiting for you to simply, finally stand completely still, root into the earth, and fiercely demand your tangible worth. You will notice over the next few days that opportunities, brilliant people, and serendipitous moments of sheer, undeniably perfect, structural alignment will start arriving at your doorstep with shocking, steady, profoundly peaceful grace. A sudden urge to completely and silently reject a toxic, inconsistent situation without a single drop of guilt, hesitation, or over-explanation. An unexpected breakthrough in how you protect your physical energy, your resources, and your peace. A brilliant wave of raw, deeply grounded power that absolutely demands to be treated with the utmost physical and emotional luxury. You will feel a radiant, solid warmth expanding in your root chakra, a deep, cellular, undeniable, knowing that the universe is no longer teaching you through the agonizing pain of starvation, chaos, anxiety, and empty promises. It is now teaching you through the ecstatic peace of absolute, overflowing abundance, radical consistency, magnificent presence, and total physical safety. You ask yourself, why did I ever accept the chaotic, anxious, ungrounded gamble when I was born to sit on a throne of undeniable, luxurious, deeply peaceful, and fiercely secure certainty? Why did I ever apologize for having massive, high standards, a need for consistency, and a desire to be physically cherished when I had an entire ocean of divine, undeniable worth within my own physical vessel? Do not dare to judge the past versions of yourself for the anxiety, the chasing, and the scarcity they endured. They did the absolute best they could with the unhealed wounds of abandonment they carried. They were desperately, blindly trying to find a home in a world that had incorrectly, cruelly taught them that begging for the bare minimum, enduring inconsistency, and sacrificing their nervous system were the price of admission for deep connection. I want you to deeply, profoundly, and entirely forgive yourself right now. I want you to let the sound of my voice be the final, absolute, undeniable permission you need to completely release the heavy, exhausting, suffocating burden of your anxious, chaotic, scarce, romantic history. Let your physical voice vibrate in the actual air around you. Do not just think this, actually speak it out loud, or scream it silently into the very center of your bones with the force of an immovable mountain. I completely and unconditionally forgive myself for accepting physical, emotional, and energetic breadcrumbs. I forgive myself for silencing my deep, primal need for safety and consistency to accommodate people who refuse to match my effort, my loyalty, or my need for undeniable reality. I forgive myself for pouring my sacred, vital, life-giving energy into connections that offered absolutely no physical grounding, no emotional reliability, no tangible building, and no safe space for my nervous system to rest. I forgive myself for believing I had to endure agonizing panic, pretend I didn't need reassurance, pretend to be less valuable than I am, and completely abandon my body just to be worthy of deep, romantic connection. I completely release the heavy, rusted chains of my past scarcity and chaotic attachments. I completely sever all energetic cords to the people who needed me to stay anxious, ungrounded, waiting, and starved so they could avoid providing real consistency, genuine effort, and physical presence. I call all of my vital, brilliant, beautiful, sensual, highly grounded, profoundly loyal, radically steadfast, and fiercely secure energy back to my own root, my own heart, and my own physical body. I am finally, deeply, and irrevocably open to the absolute abundance of safe, clear, extremely consistent, structurally thrilling, luxurious, entirely peaceful, and unconditionally sovereign love. Breathe that massive, reality-altering, deeply grounding declaration profoundly into your very cells. Feel the actual, physical, undeniable, incredibly heavy and beautiful shift in the room entirely around you. Feel the air become highly charged with absolute, unshakable solidity, sparkling peace, and deeply rooted luxury. Feel the chronic anxiety, the deep panic, the heavy scarcity, the fear of being abandoned, and the desperate need to chase permanently, leaving your energetic field forever. You have absolutely not lost a single ounce of your incredible potential by letting go of your past chaotic patterns, by walking away from the false, terrifying thrill of inconsistency and the heavy weight of surviving on potential, by stepping directly, bravely, and entirely into the mature, brilliant, completely awake, deeply grounded energy of the Taurus New Moon, protected by the fierce, unshakable wall of your own absolute worth. You have just freed up a massive, staggering amount of life force energy. This energy is now rushing entirely into the physical, tangible, and literal manifestation of your absolute highest, most luxurious, and perfectly secure timeline. What you are experiencing as this April 27 transit peaks is a profound, incredibly necessary, and wildly stabilizing personal and romantic awakening. You are crossing the burning bridge from the timeline of the frantic, starving, ungrounded chaser directly into the completely solid timeline of the unapologetic, sovereign, brilliantly secure receiver. The quiet ghosts of your scarcity habits will try to drift back in. An ex might reach out with a confusing, half-hearted message, hoping you will turn off your brilliant intuition and perform the exhausting dance of chaotic potential one last time. When they do, you will experience the ultimate, exhilarating victory of your brand new, deeply rooted energetic frequency. You will look at the invitation to abandon your peace, and you will feel absolutely nothing but a calm, elevated, completely untouchable, deeply rooted wall of solid, unshakable certainty. You will see the toxic, inconsistent dynamic for exactly what it is, and for the first time in your life, you will not entertain the illusion. You will elegantly, firmly, and silently stand entirely in your absolute, undeniable truth. Your peace is an impenetrable, luxurious fortress, and you are no longer leaving your physical and emotional sanctuary for anyone who refuses to bring absolute consistency, fierce effort, and undeniable, tangible building to your door. Welcome home, beautiful soul, to the magnificent, unshakable, profoundly peaceful reality of your absolutely indestructible worth today.